Within this particular video, this will easily be the most important information I've relayed to you so far. As a matter of fact, you can kind of consider it, the past 18 months minus the 7 months spent in Greenville. So really like a total of 10 and a half or 11 months of work, just kind of finding its culmination or coming full circle with an answer that I've personally been searching for about 38 years. And through a particular expansion of consciousness 2 evenings ago, and I had to sit with this all day yesterday and let it process and try to take more from it, more and more bits of information to extract those anyway. So that being said, I'm actually going to read this, just read something real quick to get me going. But first and foremost, I love you. It is through this love, this genuine level of care, that nature in its deep suffering took notice, singled me out, and decided to help me so I could help you. Now, what's going to be shared here today is the truth and the truth alone. What you ultimately decide to do with it is up to you. It's a decision based off your own free will, though I will implore you to take heed and offer your assistance in whatever way you can. So, very recently, like I stopped watching any kind of television several weeks ago. Now, I did have a single day, just a few days ago, where I watched a few movies. But in the other video, you hear me kind of knocking action flicks. These are all like I don't know, movies based on more or less true stories, if you will, and kind of informative. So a little different. But anyway. I really do consider like television, processed sugar, and alcohol. Like I think those are the most prevalent drugs in Western culture and American society. I think they are toxic. I think they contract consciousness in every conceivable way possible, and they have been detrimental to our well-being. With that being said, I started watching YouTube videos a few weeks back in the evening because normally, I'd read and write all day, and then I'd probably watch a movie or maybe another, or just read, but either watch a video or a movie or two at the end of the evening, kind of wind down. But even that stopped. So I've just been watching YouTube videos. It could be videos from David Bohm or Alfred North Whitehead or Aldous Huxley, but primarily it's been Terence McKenna, who I've mentioned before, and he's a linguist. He was also a psychonaut. That's an individual that makes regular use of plant medicine. And just listening to him talk, I've been very fascinated. I started doing research on some of the substances themselves, particularly mushrooms. I found out that psilocybin, the use of it, it establishes new neural networks. It solidifies already existent ones. But the most curious thing is I found that there's a particular biomolecule that your body or your mind produces, rather. Well, I guess you can just say body. It's part of your physiology. But anyway, it's what activates the DMN, or the default mode network, which is what houses your ego. It's like 5 or 6 different regions of the lower brain. And it's kind of like where all your lowly emotions come from, your sense of I and me and all that kind of stuff that I'm desperately trying to get individuals to move beyond those feelings. But that's what that particular area of the brain does. So when you're using psilocybin, it literally blocks the production of that biomolecule. So in that sense, you have no ego. And this was more or less like a scientific experiment I conducted on myself. I've had a lot of problems with discussing some of the things, like, having that presence of awareness suggest I'm the one, for example, and being able to talk about that. That was really difficult for me, and it still is. Like, I'm still just trying to get comfortable with this. So that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to block the ego, because you can't think of ego as egotistical. It's so much more than that. When I'm talking about ego, they talked about it in 19th German philosophy, Jungian analytic psychology. I mean ego in that sense, and kind of what I just gave you a brief synopsis of, it being that sense of I, me, and lowly emotions, low frequency emotions. So with that being said, I'm going to briefly describe the experience to you the best I can, because it was very interesting to say the least. About 50 minutes into it, all right, and I need to acknowledge that there genuinely seems to be some spiritual realm of existence, and I guess Earth as it is, or Gaia, however you want to pronounce that, she seems to be a spiritual entity, but psilocybin seems to be some sort of spirit itself. And about 50 minutes into it, when it was really coming on, the mushroom just straight up bowed to me. Whatever I pictured in my head, it was more like a curtsy. I don't, whatever. That's the image it instilled in my head when the word bow is what came into mind, but the image that it provided me with was that of a curtsy. And about an hour and 50 minutes into it, like, this is so nuts, but it's not nuts. Like, our ways of thinking are actually what's nuts. And this is just as real as it gets. And we've just been thinking inappropriately for a really long time. Because what I've found is that several thousand years ago, a lot of the stuff I'm talking about and a lot of these quote unquote truths that I've been coming across, they were just common knowledge, man. And this is the way people worked and operated. But through some force or I honestly don't know, but we have basically cultivated an environment that's hospitable to ego and ego alone, and we desperately need to remedy that. And not only that, but our planet, nature's it's not pleased with us, and it's in dismay, and it wants us to drastically change our ways, or you consider it the end of us. And I'm not trying to, talk in alarmist language or anything like that. I'm just speaking what was communicated to me. With that being said, about an hour and 50 minutes into it, when, this was pretty unique too. And I literally considered this an actual miracle, but for whatever reason, and I was trying to touch on this and I couldn't articulate it at the time, but when I was like, I think a little differently, like I've gotten to the point where I essentially just think through awareness. And just this pure, unadulterated, unbridled, unmitigated awareness. And I think that's why I'm able to decipher and interpret information so well, is because I'm not, quote unquote, using the brain. It feels like some field that I kind of tap into back here. And like I said, it's just this pure awareness. So anyway, I was able to completely stay lucid during all this. And I went on a hero's journey as described by Terence McKenna, which is eat 5 grams of mushrooms in a dark room by yourself. I actually happened to eat 5.5. I just wanted to kind of take it up a notch in case I had a higher tolerance. The last time I ate mushrooms, I ate 1.5 grams at Senior Beach Week. Did not care for it. It was something I never wanted to do again, but I wanted to step outside of my ego for a few hours and see what happened. And this is what happened. And also, I treated this very much like a spiritual experience. Like, I audibly prayed before I did it. I announced myself as realized conscious spirit, said I was simply here to learn. I come with a heart full of love. I'm looking for answers so I can create information to provide to the rest of humanity. And I totally announced that, and I was totally sincere about it and very humbled before I entered that space. And the psilocybin, it worked with me. Like I said, it bowed to me. It recognized me as the one. It was very suggestive of that. It said, I could tell there was a lot of spiritual entities around me at this time. And it said, we know what you're doing. We're watching you. We appreciate everything you're doing. We love you, and we want to help you. We want to work in cooperation with you. And the feelings from that, I was so humbled by it. It's like a miracle in itself. But then I started to communicate with I've always wondered what people, especially New Age spirituality people, who I don't want to identify with that group whatsoever. I actually, in one of my writings recently, I called that a supermarket of misguidedness. I'm not trying to be, but I ultimately didn't share that because I thought there was a sincere lack of compassion within that. And I'm not trying to cause offense to anybody. I'm just trying to create a firm barrier between what I do and whatever they do in New Age spirituality. So anyway, when I hear this talk to higher self, I've always wondered what they meant. Well, at one point, I literally out loud would ask a question, and then immediately I would close my eyes. And you know how you're familiar with your own presence? Like, you can sense your own presence. Well, it felt like it would jump like 2 or 3 fold in magnitude, like this grand presence, and would literally answer these questions. And like I keep going back to the hour and 50 minute mark. About an hour and 50 minutes into it, it was like, hey, it's what you call channeling. That's the language that you use. That's what you actually do. You tap into, it wasn't specific about a single source of information. I don't know if it's the Akashic records or what it might be. That doesn't matter to me. The only thing that matters is the information and me communicating it and getting out to you. But it was very clear. It was like, listen, you can get up, you can go get your notebook, and I'm going to give you the answer you've been waiting for. I'm going to make sure that you can see your notebook perfectly fine and you can write despite the fact you've consumed 5.5 grams of me. And with that being said, this is what was written. Whatever each one of us understands as God, well, we are that. We are the universe having a digital experience. That's the answer so many of us are looking for. And please don't be disappointed if you somehow are. I don't know how you would be. But you are what you've been searching for. You absolutely are. We are the universe playing itself out as the individual organism particular to this experience. That's it. That's who we are. That's what's going on. And not only that, it also imparted into me, like, you already have the information available to essentially reverse engineer whatever process that I keep referring to as far as user-friendly interface and this, the organism being hardwired, programmed for this experience or tailored for this experience. Now, I am going to require help from individuals, very educated individuals that can ask me appropriate questions. As long as I'm asked the appropriate questions, I can provide the appropriate answers. And I'm sorry if I seem a little riled up, but I'm just trying to display the passionate intensity that nature did kind of communicate with me. Like, dude, you've got that. I guess that's where that whole hurry up thing was coming from. Like, they were like, dude, you've really got to get going with this. Like, you need to start changing stuff immediately, or trying to help change stuff immediately. But I have this position that individuals hear the truth when they hear it. Like, there is some innate or internal or intrinsic mechanism within you. When you hear the truth, you acknowledge it. Now, you can decide to, dismiss it. Like I said, you have free will to do whatever you want. But I am begging you, you cannot ignore this. Like, this is the absolute truth. This is what's going on. And I'm willing to take it as far as this. I will hook myself up to whatever apparatus, whatever, lie detector, whatever piece of equipment that can analyze my brain scan, whatever it might be. I am completely willing to oblige that, because I'm so firm that this is it. This is what's going on. And we have to come together and start working differently and change things. Now, this video is a little more intense. I actually recorded one the morning after that experience, and it's so much more upbeat, and I'm laughing and I'm smiling because it's exciting. It was so great. I mean, it was like a miracle. First of all, to find out that, and I always thought channeling was complete rubbish or complete nonsense. Didn't believe in it. I even had a psychiatrist in Seattle, Washington, and this woman has her doctorate and worked with Johns Hopkins, worked with Rush, works with Tufts, worked with Victoria University, 4 of the best cognitive schools in the world. And she specializes in tapping into an individual subconscious, okay? Now, she told me I was channeling Immanuel Kant, and amongst others, she was like, there's a lot of minds present here, but that's just what I'm getting this first time. And I could tell she was sincere. She meant what she was saying. Whether I believed it or not, that's another question. But at this point, I'm going to go ahead and say that, yes, she was spot on. And like I said, I guess, when I would talk about entering the minds of these great thinkers that came before me, that genuinely seems to be more or less exactly what I was doing. I'm not trying to cause offense to anybody. I mean, I genuinely love you all. I love nature. I love information. I love spirituality, and I'm living those things. I am simply just this instrument or apparatus that can extract truths and then share them with you. And that's fine. Like, if that's my plight or that's my purpose, I'll embrace that. I don't need to be rewarded with pleasure or anything like that. Like, the truth is all I care about, all I need. And love, of course. And man, like, this is really, really big news. And I'm going to ask help from anybody that can possibly ask it. Like, I don't know where I'm supposed to go from here. Like, I don't know what the next move is, but I know I need to get going immediately. Like, I've got to get to work. I need to be in an appropriate environment where I can study and create information, where I'm around educated individuals and ask me appropriate questions so I can give them the appropriate answers, because all this information is already within me. But I'm not going to be able to experience all of it at the same time. That's not how our reality is set up. That's not how we experience things. We experience things in this kind of momentary sequential order. And that's the only way I'll be able to extract information if I'm just reading and writing. Basically, I try to accumulate information, as much information as possible, because you can look at information as being this raw organic material for the creation of novel ideas and conceptual properties. Okay, that's how you can look at information, and that's what I've been doing by myself. But it's time to kick things in high gear. It's time to get me where I need to be going, and I need your help. So anybody that can help me, I'm asking, please. And okay, so I think that's enough for now. Anyway, I hope this doesn't upset anybody. Like I said, I'm just trying to tell you the truth. I don't know if this is in any other religion or not. I honestly don't know if any scripture or anything like that talks about, you are the universe living itself out as an individual organism. But that's what this is. That's what's going on. Yeah, sorry, I am a little worked up. But anyway, if anybody has any ideas, please share them with me, and I will talk to you soon. Love you guys. Have a great day. Bye.